Good morning, first of all, and a warm welcome also from my side. My name is Daniel. As already announced, I'm the director for international IT, and we manage transportation at ALDI. So today I'm here to explain you why it's actually the greatest thing to work for ALDI, and especially within IT. But before we do that, I actually just want to tell you a little bit why I'm actually doing this in English over here. Well, of course, you can imagine it's not the most pleasured thing to be on stage in front of all of you, and then even do a presentation in a foreign language. But my lovely HR colleagues, they asked me to do so because on the one hand, they told me we have also international visitors over here, and on the second thing is that within our teams we have more than 15 different nations. So we are super international, and actually our daily language is English. So that is another reason why we do it in English today. So let me tell you a little bit about ALDI. I guess you know that we sell groceries, right? And but we also operate in 11 countries. That is quite a lot, and we do have more than 200,000 employees worldwide. So we are a super huge company, actually. And even within IT, we have 2,500 employees here in Mülheim as well as in Düsseldorf. So also super big IT department. And actually, I'm also super proud in working in IT. And do you know why? The main reason is we are a trusted advisor to our business and also shape the future of ALDI. And today I'm gonna tell you what's my job and what we are doing in order to make ALDI successful. So today I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the so-called demand to fulfillment process. But before we go into that, let me explain in a nutshell how ALDI works, okay? So everything starts with the strategy to assortment process. What is that about? So let's say someone in the company has an idea what to sell in our stores or even online. So they think about a product. That can be more or less everything. They think about how should it look like, what should be the size of it, what should be the price of it, these kind of things. And once we have that idea, we think of, hey, where can we get the product from? So you can imagine to identify a supplier that can actually provide us with that amount of products that we would need is not that easy. So that happens in the product to market process. Then we have the market to customers. That is the process to identify how do we want to sell it, online, offline in our stores, these kind of things. So we have an idea already, we know where we can get it from, and we know how we can sell it. So the next thing is we need to buy the product. So we buy it from the supplier, we get it into our warehouses. And the next thing is, and that is what we will talk about today, is we have to move the products from our warehouses into our stores to make them accessible to our customers. Once they are in the store, obviously we sell them. So that's order to cash. Then we hopefully never need to execute that one, that the customer is not satisfied with the product and returns it. That is the next process. And within finance to manage, we kind of manage all the financial transactions that need to happen in between. And at the end of the process, hopefully we have earned some money, and we can use that in order to invest in new projects or in other stores. By the way, do you know that we are super heavily growing? Like every day we open somewhere in the world, we open a new store. That is also quite remarkable, I think. Okay, the digitized demand to solution process. What is that about? Hey, I already told you that it's about how to move the products from the warehouse into our stores. But we do even a little more than that. We also have accepted a challenge, in particular for produce items. So for vegetables and also for fruits, we try to bring the goods from the field, so from the source, into our shelves in 24 hours, which is a big deal, yeah, to make that happen. And we accepted that challenge. And within the IT department, we help the business to make that happen. So everything starts, let's say here in Cologne, there's a store that closes yesterday at around 9 o'clock. Okay? So at that point in time, the store, the IT systems in the stores, they transferred the data to the last sales as well as the stock information to the central order forecasting solution. And that order forecasting solution then calculates what is the demand for tomorrow, so for Saturday. And we always calculate that based on the product per store. And imagine we have around 7,000 stores worldwide and more than 2,000 products in every store. That's a pretty heavy calculation that happens every night. And we have actually pretty cool computers that can make that happen. That's the really state of the art and the most recent technologies that allows us to do that. All right, now we have our order forecast. And what we do basically at around this time now, we create the purchase orders and send it to the suppliers. And the suppliers are then asked to send us the products latest by 7 p.m. today. And in the meantime, what do is we have now all the orders and we know all the cartons, etc., that we have to deliver to the stores, but we don't send cartons to the stores. We always put them on a Euro pallet. That is the freight unit building that we are talking about here. And you can imagine that it's kind of a giant 3D Tetris game, kind of, because you have to take all the different cartons, put them on a Euro pallet, and you also need to think of how can we actually stack them over each other, because obviously putting wine on top of strawberries isn't a good idea. And that is what we do over there. So once that's done, and that's a computer that does all of that we have developed and configured. Once that's done, we take all the pallet information and give that to our automated tour planning solution, which is SAP Transportation Management. And that system then calculates, okay, we have so many pallets that need to be transported to one specific store. What is the best way to combine different stores with each other to create the most efficient tour plan? So how the trucks will actually drive to the different stores. Once that's done, we check for the availability of the products in the warehouse. And if something is not available, we apply substitution rules. So let's imagine the large tomatoes, they're out of stock. Maybe we just add another cherry tomatoes instead. If something is completely out of stock, we obviously also then adjust the freight units and the tour plan. Finally, we generate the freight orders to send them to our carriers to make sure that we have the trucks available at the right point in time. As I said, around 7 p.m. we receive the goods in the warehouse, and we also send the plans that we created throughout the entire process. We send it to the warehouse system. The warehouse system translates that into actual task for the workers in the warehouse, so that they can pick the products, create the pallets, and move the pallets onto the trucks. The trucks will then leave the warehouse somewhere around 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, and then they will arrive prior to 6 a.m. in the stores. So that leaves the stores employees around 1 hour to move then the goods into the shelves, and that's how we do it. That is how we make it happen, that we can move the goods within 24 hours from the field into our shelves, which is a pretty remarkable. And actually, I'm also super proud of my team that we have made that happen to really contribute a lot to the success of the company. And I wanted to also show a little bit more details about some highlights within the process, because I think that is super cool. Everybody talks about machine learning and how things are actually working, big data and all of that stuff. But what does it actually mean? It means something like that, at least for us. So the order forecast, how does that work? I already told you, hey, we calculate, like for every day, we calculate what's the demand based on the product and store information. But that's not all that we consider. We also consider demand influencing factors. So what does that mean? Maybe there's a construction in front of the store and the store is hard to reach for our customers. At that point in time, the demand will go down. But there might be also something else like a festival or something like that in the neighborhood of the store, which would drive more customers than usual to visit our store. Also, that needs to be considered. Then we have a calibration that's happening. So there will be seasonal factors. From spring to summer, we will obviously sell more barbecue meat, for instance, right? And that also needs to be considered. And there might even be also other effects like the weather forecast that we consider over here. Another one is dynamic safety. So we always want to make sure that the customers will get their products. So there's some safety on top of it. We put all of that, put it together, and then create the demand. And the last step that we do is we apply an optimization for the transportation. Obviously, we always want to ship a full package of our products and not just a single one, because that would actually be pretty hard to manage within the logistics. And that is kind of a real-time or a real-life example of things like machine learning and big data that we use to make our business better. Another cool example, I think, is the automated tour planning. Because in the end, what we achieve is a better planning, less cost, and even do something good for our environment. How do we do that? So beside the big Tetris game that I mentioned, we also need to consider what is the product availability and what is the due time. So like the produce, it has to arrive to store prior to 6 a.m. But there might also be restrictions that we need to consider over here in that mathematics that we have developed. Like store receiving and shipping hours. In a city, most likely you cannot drive in a city at midnight or at 3 a.m. with a big truck. Yeah, people in the neighborhood might not be happy about that. And we also consider things like on the way back to the DC, maybe there's a supplier in the neighborhood where we can drive by and pick up some additional goods that we would need in our warehouse. Loading and unloading durations, different distances, durations, and also store attributes, because maybe some stores have some specifics that we cannot go there with a large truck. We rather have to go take a small one. So they're all real life examples that we had to kind of consider in the logic that we have developed and code into our SAP TM application. So I think what we have achieved with all of that is obviously a seamless ordering process, real-time information for our business so that we always know where we are with our goods, increased order accuracy, automated ordering. We just apply a management by exception principle, systematically and economically driven transportation plan, and in the end, that is a positive impact for our suppliers as well as for our environment. And last but not least, we have also managed to get in the products in the most freshest way into the shelves, which is pretty cool. And actually, I'm pretty proud of that we have made that happen with our team. And yeah, that makes me happy every day, actually. And now I have something positive for you, because we look for support in our team. So if you guys are interested in also working with us and maybe being part of those technologies and work with those latest technologies, we have a pretty good place to join. This is just a list of open positions that we have right now in that area. There's actually even more that you can figure out on our webpage. And there are also some other positive things besides a pretty cool impact on having to have on such a big company. and working with latest technologies. There are also other benefits, like me as a father, I really enjoy having flexible working hours. I really enjoy being able to work from home. Well, holiday and Christmas bonus is also not a bad thing, I would say, as well as all the continuous options to educate yourself. There are lots of training options because we always want to be working with the latest technologies. And of course, if you want to do that, you have to educate yourself and always go with the time. So I can just invite you guys, check out our webpage or visit us at our booth. We're happy to answer every question and also receive applications if you are interested to join the team. And now I would open it up for questions. If you want to raise your question in German, that's also totally fine. Leonie will help me with that.
Yeah, but first a big applause, please. Wonderful, wonderful. Does anyone have a question? Anybody? We don't bite, don't be afraid. As he said, English or German, both is fine, but I obviously also have some questions, so I can ask mine too. Just to give you a little bit time to warm up. So, one of the questions that I always think of when I think of these big companies, what is one of your most exciting projects that you've ever did?
Well, that's actually a difficult question because we did so many. But I remember I've started in the age of 19 years when I started at ALDI, and I was an apprentice back then. And the first project they gave to me was when you do an apprenticeship, at the end of an apprenticeship, you also have to do a kind of a project and present it to others. And all the others, my friends that did an apprenticeship back then, we exchanged, what is the project that you do? And they told me something like, hey, we set up a test network or something like that. And ALDI dedicated 250,000 euros of project budget to me. And I said, hey guys, that is an incredible amount of money. They must have completely lost their mind. They believe that I can do something valuable out of that. But after the first shocking moment, it really motivates me. Yeah, and I really gave the best. The project in itself was actually crazy because it was about optimizing our network connections. And we thought, hey, if an email arrives in a day or within 5 minutes, it doesn't really matter. So let's wait for a day. We can keep our costs for network connections low. And that is what we implemented. That's actually not the case anymore. But back then, we thought it's a good idea.
So you went to ALDI, you're at ALDI since you're 19. If I can ask, how old are you now? Just you can give a general gist. Just.
Yeah. I haven't reached 40, but it's close.
But that's so interesting. What kept you at ALDI? Like, why did you stay so long? What was it that kept you interested?
I've mentioned that during the presentation. The main reason is I feel that the people or ALDI really believes in their people and believes in me. And every day we have a new challenge and we feel that we have an impact on the company. And
I mean, they trusted you with a lot of money. They just gave you a lot of money and were like, go for it. If I were to work at ALDI now, could I expect to work with newer technologies, like the newest technologies out there, or what would I work with?
Yeah, so you can. Full stop.
Period.
But the main reason for that is we always have the competitive advantage of having the most efficient processes in place. And in order to make that happen, you have to use the latest technologies in order to maintain that competitive advantage.
Definitely. Does anyone else have a question? I can come to you. You don't have to walk or even do anything else, and just raise your hand. I get that you're a little bit shy. It's still very early, but you're still here to answer some questions. Daniel is just going to be around here or in the networking area or obviously at the ALDI booth. Thank you so much for being
Leonie.
here.
Thank you.